Welcome to the Easy Odds videocast for the start of the Premier League season 2015-16. We're going to have a look at four of the biggest markets available to you on easyodds.com with the help of football guru and friend of Easy Odds, of course, Angus Loughran joins us now. Angus, looking forward to a brand new season. It's come around very quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tremendous. I mean, the usual protagonists are there. Obviously, Chelsea, Manchester City, Arsenal, Manchester United. Most people expect that to be the top four, but in which order? I think that's going to be the biggest puzzle. So clearly, those are going to be the biggest games. But, you know, Liverpool fans and Tottenham fans will be saying, you know, why can't we creep into the top four? Maybe one or two other clubs will think they can, but realistically, they've little chance of doing so. And it's almost like a close shop, it's a cartel. And there are a lot of little battles in the Premier League. That's why I think it's so special. On their day, anyone can beat anyone, and I think that's what makes it so exciting. But it usually is the cream that comes to the top. But the betting suggests that, but it's not always right. But I expect it to be once again this year.
When he mentions cartel, I think of OPEC. But we won't go there. The price of petrol is coming down, which is great. Okay, let's start with the winner. Chelsea last year. It's been a while since we've had back-to-back winners of the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah, I always think it's harder to defend the title than necessarily to win it. And although Chelsea are solid favourites, I mean 7-4 generally, there is a little bit of 15 to 8. If you can get it, that would be the best price you could get. Are they value? I'm not sure they are. I think when we're looking to value, and we're certainly looking to where the punters have gone for, it seems to be Arsenal and Manchester United, who've both been heavily backed at around about the 5-1 mark. Been a bit more momentum for Arsenal since the weekend win in the Community Shield, and the fact that finally they seem to have got a goalkeeper in there, ironically a Chelsea reject, as you could say, but it's hard to call him that because he was such a dominant figure for Chelsea and did well. But he is a great goalkeeper in his own right, Czech, and just because Chelsea went and invested in the future in Courtois, don't blame him for that. I think he is the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment. Czech will do a very good job for Arsenal, as we saw on Sunday.
Let me put this to you. You say that possibly 15 to 8 isn't value about Chelsea. It's been mooted around that if 15 to 8 isn't value, it's 4 to 6 value against either Chelsea or Man City winning the Premier League.
Well, I'm not sure. I think Manchester City's main aim this year will be to try and hit the ground running in Europe. And I think that's what they're going to try and look towards, a really good run in the Champions League. Now, a lot depends for Manchester United on what happens in their qualifier. That's good. That will set the tone for the season. Van Gaal's strengthened a lot in midfield. He's got two really good buys, I think, in Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin.
Was he the player he was, Schweinsteiger?
I don't think he's the player he was because he was an exceptional player. But I think he's a good player. Schneiderlin, excellent, and I think he's going to have a big role. There still could be a surprise for United before the start of the season, and a big name could yet come in. They've got the money. They've just signed this huge deal with Adidas and new shirts and plenty of money. Off the field, things are going very well at Manchester United. They need to hit the ground running. We'll come to what I think is probably the best bet United-wise in a second, but the formation will be quite interesting.
Okay, so you've talked about Chelsea, you've talked about Man City briefly and Man United. What about Arsenal? Do they still require a couple more players, possibly, to become realistic title contenders? Can they win with Giroud being their main spearhead up front?
Oh, and Sanchez. I think what you have to look at with Arsenal, I mean, the biggest problem they've got is can they keep their whole squad fit all the season? Yeah. I mean, you know, when you actually put down on paper, these are good players, Walcott, Wilshere, Ramsey. I mean, these are proper footballers.
But they're injury prone, aren't they?
Yeah, but then you never get enough games from them. I mean, it must be so frustrating for Arsene Wenger, who's in his reign had 199 players. 199 players have come through. Who will be the 200th? That'll be an interesting signing when inevitably it does come. But he's been very, you know, I think he's been very shrewd, Wenger, and he keeps himself to himself. There was just he wants another title. I mean, a bit like when Sir Alex retired. When I'd heard on very good authority that the day City won the league, if United had actually nicked that league, he'd have won. He'd have walked. That would have been it. He wouldn't have stayed for another season. But that night he was absolutely adamant he would wanted that title back. And United's last title win was an incredible success, really, with the players that they had. Arsenal, I think Wenger would love another title, and I think if Arsenal were to win another title, he might just say, I'm going to leave on a high. I think he's noticed what Sir Alex did. I don't think he'd admit it, but I think he's noted it.
So it's a double question for you for the winners. A, who do you think is going to win? And B, who do you think's the value? Because they could be two separate answers.
Well, they are really, because Arsenal and Manchester United are the value. If you think there's 4 teams, you're getting 5 to 1 each, or 2. There's a little bit of 11 to 2 United, but genuinely, say just under 5 to 1 Arsenal. So those are the value. Who do I think either will win? I'm not sure. I think the beauty with the Premiership, as I'm saying, is people say, oh, there's only 1 or 2 teams can win. But any one of those 4 teams could win,
right.
And I'm not really looking elsewhere for the winner. But on a match basis, I've got stronger views on the relegation. I've got a very strong view as a bet. At the moment, as far as winning the Premier League, I haven't struck a bet yet, which is quite surprising because normally I would have been launching in. But it is very open, and those 4 will dominate. Okay,
let's leave the winner market behind. Let's move on to the top 4 market. Is there a way in for anybody outside that cartel this season?
Absolutely, there always is, but it could always run out of steam. I mean, Tottenham, you'd have to look at them, and they're actually not bad value. I mean, they're going to be 6, 7, 8 to 1, around about, depending who you bet with. Liverpool, pretty solid at 11 to 4. It really is those 2. When you look further down the list, I don't really think Southampton this season are going to be as strong as they were last season. Yeah. I think they had an incredible season last year. If you remember, this time last year, we were heavily talking about them as relegation candidates. Yeah. And they've lost these good players. Now, I know they replaced them this year. I respect Koeman. They played well. I saw them play well last week against Vitesse. But in a way, they might have played too well. Because I think that it's a definite hindrance to be in that Europa League.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that could come back to haunt Southampton, and we'll have to wait and see. Judgment's certainly out on those. As regard others, I don't really see anyone else challenging. You always get a surprise. I mean, I expect Bournemouth to have a good season, but a good season for them would surely just be staying up. Yeah. They might end up doing better than just staying up. I mean, that's possible, but realistically, the only Liverpool and Spurs perhaps, and I suppose if you back them both, you're always going to have a shout that one of the top 4 something goes wrong to. Because, I mean, that's the other thing. It's not just a question of your team doing well. I mean, one of the top 4 might have things can happen.
Got to play below par for them.
Yeah, and then you've got a chance. Then Liverpool and Tottenham could sneak in.
Okay. Let's talk about the 2 markets that maybe offer us all a bit more value. And I know Angus has got a strong view on the relegation market. But let's go to the top goal scorer market, dominated, as you would expect, by Sergio Aguero and Diego Costa, but both of whom, certainly over the last 12 months, to a certain extent, Angus, have been injury prone.
I think Wayne Rooney here is a massive price at 12 to 1. I really do. I honestly, I'm trying to scratch my head how he's 12 to 1, and also Christian Benteke for Liverpool. I think he's going to score plenty of goals. Those are my 2 clear choices, and I think Rooney's a bet. I think there are 2 bets in all these Premiership markets, one on the relegation and one on the top goal scorer, because the system that United play, it's all Van Gaal's all about the system, and at the moment he has said Wayne Rooney is going to be my number 1 striker. And if he can't get 20 goals playing as my target, he's always wanted to play. He's such a good footballer. It'd be music to the ears of Roy Hodgson, this, by the way. Absolutely. He's going to be absolutely delighted. I mean, Memphis Depay is the only other possible striker who's going to score goals for United. Now, it's very interesting when you look at the market of top United goal scorer, that he ranges from 3 to 1 to a standout 13 to 2. Now, if you think something can go wrong with Rooney, then Depay at 33s could even be speculative and a lively outsider for the top goal scorer market.
Is he good enough for the
well,
Premier League?
I think he probably is. I think that what we'll see from Depay, who was very exciting in PSV last year, is someone who will have plenty of chances and he'll go for goal. There'll be some long range shots. He'll any free kick. Don't worry about. He'll be taking everything. But Rooney in front of goal, given the opportunity, given the service, and given the fact that they really up the midfield, I'm amazed he's a double-figure price. And I think at 12 to 1 is a great price.
But the fact he is 12 to 1, does that make him an each way bet?
Well, I think he'd probably take a chance each way, but I mean, it's always going to be someone that comes through like a Harry Kane, who this year is also just about a similar price to Rooney, but there is always going to be a player who comes through. I mean, Lukaku could come through. Benteke is also very interesting. Sanchez. There's a lot of players who can score a hatful of goals. Don't get me wrong, but I just think probably would back him each way at 12 to 1.
Okay.
And I think we're going to see plenty from Rooney this year, and that would be a real boost for England in their bid for Euro glory in France come the end of the season.
Okay, let's move on to a really interesting market, the relegation market. And instantly, I don't know about you, when I look at the matrix, you're drawn towards the promoted team straight away. But this year, it may not be that straightforward, Angus.
Well, they've all got a chance of going down. Obviously, I think Watford are the ones that I think are most vulnerable. I think Bournemouth are the most interesting to stay up.
Right.
And I think Norwich have got a manager who's taking the club the right way, and I think they will stay up. So if you think that Bournemouth and Norwich are going to survive, suddenly that brings into a whole category of teams that perhaps could go down. Now, I think the prices are wrong here. I think Leicester. I mean, I backed them at 4 to 1. They're still 3 to 1. I make them an even money chance to go down.
Really, that short?
Yeah, I think this is the best.
Why?
Bet. Well, I don't think they've really strengthened at all. They've bought a couple of players, but neither of them are going to have any impact whatsoever. There's clearly unrest in the dressing room. The summer's not gone well. Ranieri's come in. Now, this is a manager who's left Greece in turmoil. It's not just a financial situation now that's in turmoil, it's a football as well. Losing to the Faroe Islands. Yes. I mean,
that's about as low as you can get in international football.
This is the European champions of 11 years ago, and they were losing to the Faroe Islands. I'm not sure Ranieri, the tinker man, what can he tinker with?
He hasn't got a lot to play with, has he? No.
I mean, Leicester's high last year was beating Manchester United when they were 2 goals down twice, and then this incredible run, which I think was almost single-handedly the manager and the getting behind. Nigel Pearson, you can say what you want about him, but he's a very good player motivator. And I think he got some poor players motivated to play very well. And, if I was looking to recruit a team who were struggling, in a way, a bit like Tony Pulis has been outstanding in that regard for the lower echelons of the Premier League, and he's done it time and time again. I think that you're looking there as a really good bet.
Okay, if you're saying that you fancy...
I fancy Leicester.
Fancy Leicester to go down.
And I love the price. I mean, I'm on at 4s.
But you're happy but 3 still value?
Oh, I'm pressing up this week.
Okay, but you're saying that you fancy also Norwich and Bournemouth to possibly stay. Leeds one more place.
Yeah, and that place is very open.
Is that per anyone from 6 or 7 possibly?
Probably more. I mean, even Southampton at 50 to 1. I mean, I think that is a very, very big price, by the way, Paul. I mean, if you think last season people were scrambling to back them at 5 to 2 to go down, yeah. And I mean there was a queue, literally any price. Now I think Southampton have done very well, right? But you cannot consistently just sell your best players all the time and expect to get away with it all the time. Now, I'm looking at 50 to 1 and I'm thinking, aye. I mean, this is a very big price. I don't expect them to go down. I think they'll be too strong. But 50? Certainly made me have more than a second glance at the page.
What in between Southampton and Leicester then?
I think Stoke will be too strong. I think they'll stay up. I think Everton will be no problem, and they're the same price as Southampton. Crystal Palace should be okay. Bought shrewdly. I think Pardew is quite shrewd. But again, you know, they're not certainties at this stage. The primary concern for these clubs, Crystal Palace, West Ham, West Brom, Villa, certainly Leicester, stay up. Swansea are an interesting one. Again, they haven't really strengthened as much as you think, but they've got a solid unit down there. But again, a double-figure price on a team like Swansea, you'd have to take considerable interest in that. That's why I think, although we've got a great Premiership at the top, we've got a fascinating Premiership at the bottom.
Okay, final question to wrap up for this video cast. What is the one single standout bet that you would offer to our customers here at easyodds.com?
Absolutely no question about it, Leicester to go down.
And 3-1 still.
Yeah, 3-1 is a great price. And Wayne Rooney to be top goal scorer each way is a value bet. 2 for you.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks to Angus Loughran for appearing on our Premier League video cast. Don't forget to check in on the last golf major, the PJ, the American PGA, which Angus is going to be talking about also here on easyodds.com.